I think right now there's really a turning point in how they look at the technology, how robust it is with the ongoing regulatory clarity. The level of adoption and, quite frankly, in some instances, FOMO that we're seeing from institutions is pretty significant.
Yeah. How do we...
But I'm definitely going to start focusing more heavy on staking and the ability for us to generate some passive income on loan at what, it's 15% right now.
Facts.
And you know, my opinion on staking has just changed significantly because the research that I'm doing, which I'm going to show you guys in this portion of today's video breakdown, is just I'm showing physical proof that institutions are doing this. You know, so we'll transition, and I'll use what Aqua was just talking about. Staking and whatnot on loan to kind of transition over to this portion of today's video breakdown where I want to show you guys physical proof that we are transitioning, just like how Jazzy Cooper mentioned that we're at a turning point where institutions cannot ignore this. It's too risky for them to ignore it. And instead, they must embrace it. And then at the end of her little spiel, she says that they're going to be participating in yield generation, right? So for anybody that's new on this call, looking back at what we had discussed before, we saw that the SEC chair, right, had a roundtable. They had an SEC roundtable on DeFi, and Chair Atkins said that, you know, participating in staking does not classify under securities laws, not a security. Okay. And then Jazzy Cooper at Apex just recently said this. Take a second here and listen to what she says.
Thanks, David. It's true. We're at a turning point. Public chains were once seen as too risky for institutions, and now it's too risky for institutions not to integrate them with their business. Institutions have truly embraced blockchain and are finally launching real products on public chains, including the XRP ledger. And XRPL is evolving to meet that demand. Over the past year, a number of key features have gone live, ranging from the automated market maker to decentralized identity, price oracles, and clawback. And we have others that are still in voting: credentials, MPTs, permission domains. These features are foundational infrastructure for building secure, transparent, and scalable financial products. And we're not just modernizing finance, we're making it more inclusive, accessible, and programmable. And we're finally seeing real traction. XRPL is supporting real-world applications ranging from payments to yield generation, all decentralized and at scale.
Right. So Jazzy Cooper saying that, then the previous week we had Paul Atkins going on and saying that, you know, staking is not classified as a security, which is crazy verbal confirmation. I mean, confirmation that we've never had in crypto's entire history from the SEC. That's groundbreaking. Well, in today's video breakdown, this portion, I want to really show you guys that these large organizations are physically telling you all that they're going to be participating in yield strategies and in the DeFi ecosystem with digital assets like XRP. And it's happening for the first time ever. 2-3 years ago, you could not show me one public document where an institution actually physically went into their blueprint as to how they were going to utilize XRP. Okay. And now they're openly telling us this stuff. So I said here in this post, so many people are about to have an aha moment. Yield generation is the wave. And I reposted this June 11th post from Vivo Power where they said Vivo Power is building a virtuous cycle, generating yield and using it to systemically increase its core XRP position, creating a perpetually compounding engine for shareholder value. So exactly what myself and Aqua are talking to you guys about, I'm going to physically show you guys proof that institutions are doing this. So for any of the naysayers that are out there like, oh, it's too risky, it's not mature enough, institutions are never going to do it, regulations aren't there. No, something has shifted. And you guys need to understand that now is not the time to doubt what is taking place. It is time instead to do the research and to educate yourself and to at least be aware of the opportunities that are going to become available to us to generate passive rewards, operating in an environment where we're not going to have to sell out of our hard-earned utility digital assets. Whereas maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, that mindset was cool, right? When everybody was like, oh, XRP is going to go to $1,000 and I'm going to sell it for fiat and I'm going to be rich. That mindset was cool 4 years ago. But now it's like, why on earth, if you want to buy yourself a big fancy mansion and a big fancy house, right, would you sell your XRP for fiat, a dead decaying system, instead of you want to go buy a fancy house and XRP is $1,000, you can go take a loan out against your XRP while earning interest on that loaned out XRP, that lent out XRP, right? You can borrow against that. You can go buy your fancy house. You can go buy your fancy car. You can pay back 0.0000001% interest, right, on your XRP that's lent out that you borrowed against. And while you're paying that back, you can generate yield on it. So that way, whenever you do pay back the loan, your XRP value is more. And you have the house and the fancy car and your XRP back. Come on now, people. We got to get with the moving tide. And so yield generation, this wave, people are about to have this aha moment. And Hugo Filion hit it on the head here. He said, I think many people massively underestimate the potential of XRP-Fi. I think their minds will do a total 180 when they see the reality. I don't know if you wanted to speak on this, Aqua. You're shaking your head.
Yeah, once people understand that they're like, so many people are literally like, their mind is in the closet thinking that they should just cold storage these digital assets, like especially XRP community. And how do I know? Because I was part of it. And like once you see it, you're not going to want to, especially when we're operating in a regulated, just time, you know what I mean? And there's rules, and maybe there's even, some sort of like, hey, you're insured, kind of like FDIC up to 250,000. Maybe per account type of situation. I don't know what's coming, but like, you know what I'm saying? Once we get to that time, you know what I mean? It's going to be hard to say no. Like what, you'd be kind of foolish to say no at that time if there's really no dice rolling then, you know what I mean?
Any institution that doesn't jump on board is pretty much going to fall behind, and that's just a fact. Any institution that doesn't pick up this, they're going to fall behind. And so think of that in terms of retail adoption. It's the same thing. You're going to end up falling behind if you don't understand what is happening right now. Shout out to Abs from Good Morning Crypto. I love what they're doing over there at 3T Warrior. He posted this, and I just wanted to capitalize, albeit this is a very important post that Abs had put out. Again, I think a lot of the XRP community members are missing a very important aspect of these announcements that have recently taken place in terms of like the XRP treasury announcements, because what these are going to do is these are going to unlock a lot of dormant capital, and it's going to become active in the DeFi ecosystem on the XRPL. And that is going to be one key driver of a lot of demand on the XRP digital asset over the next consecutive couple of months. And understanding that and that backdrop, that these institutions, again, proving to you all that they're the ones that are going to be participating in these yield generation strategies. It's not me and Aqua here, just like, oh, we're going to participate in yield and it's only going to be retail. No, I'm going to physically show you guys proof that these institutions, these organizations are physically telling you all what they're going to do. So check this out. Ab said, update, 8 companies now plan on launching an XRP treasury. Trident, Webus, Vivo Power, Wellgistics, excuse me, that was a mouthful, Hyperscale, WorkSpot, BC Bud, and DigitalCom. And so you can actually go in, we're going to thoroughly read through what each of these organizations are going to be doing with their XRP, right? Because they tell you. Hundreds of companies will be launching XRP treasuries in 2025 and beyond. This is only the beginning. And Ab said nothing about yield generation here in this post, which I think is extremely important. So I chimed in. Again, shout out to Abs. Love the work that they're doing over there. Good Morning Crypto. I said, brother, you missed the most important part. The most important part is that they will be using these treasuries to participate in yield generation strategies to generate more XRP and compound their positions. And I posted the documented proof. Right. And so that documented proof is what we're going to go over today. So that way people don't think we're just making this stuff up. We're not just waking up and saying, hey, you guys should start to learn how to generate yield and passive rewards on your digital assets for no reason. It is because these institutions, these large organizations, these whales are. Right. So let's come over here. This is going to be the first one that we're going to cover. We're going to cover Trident. I'm going to do a little bit deeper dive on Trident, and then the other ones will just kind of briefly scratch the surface. But here, look at this. OK, this is Trident. This is the announcement. June 12th, 2025. It says a leading catalyst for digital transformation and technology optimization services in Web3 activation based in Singapore today announced an initiative to raise up to $500 million to establish one of the world's first large-scale corporate XRP treasuries, and appoints Chaince Securities, LLC, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, probably not, as the strategic advisor. This strategic move positions Trident at the forefront of integrating decentralized finance assets into treasury and capital management practices, marking a significant milestone in the evolution of blockchain and native financial infrastructure. And right here in purple, it says, this initiative will focus on the acquisition of XRP tokens as a long-term strategic reserve, the deployment of staking mechanisms to generate yield, and deep engagement with the Ripple ecosystem. So they're physically telling you guys what they plan to do with this XRP acquisition. They plan to stake it, right? This is huge considering what was just recently announced. So we go over and look at this. This is all stuff that nobody's paying attention to. This organization, Trident Digital, 618 followers, y'all. Nobody's paying attention. These are the high net worth individuals that nobody in the XRP community are following, right? Well, look at what they just announced. This is from May 6th. 2025, Into the Block has merged with Trident Digital to form Centaura, an institutional-grade DeFi platform combining yield strategies, risk management, and financial services. Well, why do you think they're doing that? Because they're buying important utility digital assets that they're going to be able to utilize on this platform in the near future. They also dropped this document June 10th. Sustainable DeFi yield can only exist where there's real economic value. In this report, the real yield, mapping the real economy behind on-chain and off-chain capital flows, is a whole entire institutional report that you can come over here and you can download if you have credentials. Our CYPRX researchers will probably get this document. Real yield, mapping the real economy, and look at what it's talking about. It's talking about yield seekers, yield players, institutional leaders needing this report to strategically learn how to generate yield sources, navigating the next evolution of DeFi, right? This is all new. This is all fresh. And they're putting out these reports to these large organizations because this is exactly what's coming. If we go over to this organization that they just partnered with, Into the Block, and how they've merged with Trident Digital, let's read about this. Okay, this is Centaura, an institutional grade DeFi platform combining yield strategies, risk management, and financial services for this organization that just acquired XRP. In their public statement, telling you all, literally, I'm not making this up, they literally said, for the deployment of staking. It says it right here. Staking mechanisms to generate yield. Right? So let's read this. Check this out. It says May 6, 2025. So all within the last, almost within the last 30 days, give or take a week. So this is all fresh. Announcing Centaura, a new institutional DeFi platform born from a merger of Into the Block and Trident Digital. Today marks a defining moment in the evolution of Into the Block. We are thrilled to announce our merger with Trident Digital and the completion of a $25 million Series A funding round. This milestone accelerates our mission to bring institutional adoption to decentralized finance, or DeFi, and unifies two pioneering teams under a new banner, Centaura. And if we come down here, it says DeFi has emerged as a parallel financial system with powerful primitives like programmable lending and automated market making. Yet, despite the innovation, adoption among traditional financial institutions remains limited. The rapid proliferation of new ecosystems and protocols has only widened the gap between potential and usability. To make DeFi a credible pillar of global finance, institutional capabilities must be built from the ground up, and that is exactly what they're doing. Centaura's mission is to create a unified institutional layer for DeFi, one that empowers a broad range of actors from crypto-native DAOs to traditional asset managers and financial institutions. Our platform will offer products that combine financial sophistication for technical resilience, right? This is all brand new, literally within the last month. So, of course, XRP holders that have been hodling, that have massive YouTube followings, that keep giving you guys price predictions, don't care about this stuff because it's all new. They don't care. They're still looking at high prices. High prices don't matter when we can just freaking use our XRP and DeFi, people. Come on now. Why on earth would the traditional financial system is dying no matter where you're at? Whatever jurisdiction you're in, they're devaluing your fiat currency at a very rapid pace. Whereas inversely, right? Let's go back over to this list. I actually want to show you guys that these institutions, these organizations that Good Morning Crypto had announced, they're telling you all that they're going to be using their XRP as a hedge against the devaluation of fiat currencies, which is crazy. Remember I said that they're openly telling you guys why they're buying XRP? So some of these organizations listed are buying XRP to participate in yield. Some of them are buying XRP to participate in utilizing it as a line of credit. Right? Some are buying it to put it on their balance sheet to hedge against inflation and the devaluation of fiat currency, right? So let's dive into that. So I've already shown you now one example on how this organization plans to utilize it in yield generation strategies. Hint, hint, you should probably, start to learn how to do that yourself. You don't need to risk your digital assets to do so, but you can definitely learn about it. Let's go over to this other organization. This is Webis. Webis signs up to $300 million in XRP treasury management and an agreement with top-tier manager Samara Alpha, making a major step into its XRP treasury strategy. This is from June 12th, 2025. A leading provider of AI-driven mobility solutions specializing in a premium customizable Schaefer service worldwide today announced the signing of a delegated digital asset management agreement with Samara Alpha Management LLC. The agreement establishes Samara Alpha as Webus's exclusive delegated manager for digital assets. And then down here it says, the agreement represents a major step in Webus's exploration of innovative treasury strategies. One thing that we need to be mindful of is there's a lot of people that don't understand these announcements have nothing to do with price action, and so don't let these influencers manipulate you into thinking that it's going to create some massive bullish demand for XRP, because they tell you that they haven't yet committed to the transfer of these funds into the XRPL yet. It says right here, as of this announcement, no asset has been committed or transferred, and no investment activity has commenced under this framework yet. Right? It's just an announcement of what's coming. So here he says, the chief executive officer at Webus stated that this agreement defines a clear structure for trusted digital asset management in the future as we continue to evaluate innovative processes to treasury management, establishing this framework within a regulated institutional grade partner that provides us with strategic optionality while maintaining prudent controls. So he talks about regulations, how this is compliant with them, and how they have not allocated to this yet. It's just an announcement. Here's another one. This is Vivo Power. Okay, Vivo Power, they announced a strategic XRP treasury position, and they're going to be using this for yield. So some of them, like I said, are going to be utilizing it for yield. Some of them aren't. Vivo Power is building a virtual cycle generating yield and using it to systematically increase its core XRP position. So exactly what we're already doing here at the Wealth 28 Club, that's what now these institutions are catching on to. And they actually made this announcement with Flare, right? June 10th, 2025, Vivo Power and Flare launched a definitive strategy to partnership. This partnership will allow them to deploy $100 million in XRP for institutional yield. Right down here, they tell you what they're going to do. It says Vivo Power will generate yield via protocols on Flare, such as Firelight, and reinvest that income directly back into its core XRP holdings, creating a perpetually compounding and capital efficient treasury. So this is now organization number 2 that's going to be participating in yield generation, right? Let's go to another one. Wellgistics Health secured $50 million ELOC facility for XRP Treasury. Let's look at what they're going to be doing. This one's pretty cool. Aqua, I want you kind of to talk a little bit more on this one. It says, at Wellgistics Health, we challenge the idea that healthcare has to be tethered to legacy systems, bloated intermediaries, and slow-moving money, said Brian Norton, CEO of Wellgistics Health. We are developing a platform that connects manufacturers directly to pharmacies and patients, bypassing the red tape and replacing control back in the hands of who delivers the care. That's huge. Again, this is like they're putting the bank back in the hands of the health system, right? Our blockchain-enabled payment system and ledger is just the next logical step in our healthcare evolution, allowing us to hardwire speed, liquidity, and transparency into a system that has long been starved of all three. I believe the future winners in healthcare won't be the companies with the biggest buildings. They will be those with the fastest rails, the cleanest data, and the most efficient platforms. We are betting on infrastructure, not inertia. And then it says, why XRP? Why now? Keep in mind, this is just recent from the 8th of May, 2025. So it's not old. And look at what it says. One of the things they're going to use XRP for: flexibility, which allows for XRP-backed lines of credit to support independent pharmacy liquidity. Boom.
That's major. Yo, that's just even more liquidity to add into that dam of liquidity that we were talking about earlier. And I'm really happy for this though as well, because there's a lot of identity fraud in that, and just in pharmaceuticals, and a lot of pharmaceuticals that shouldn't be in certain hands. This is gonna, I feel like, nip that in the butt quite a bit, because if everything is on chain and everything is transparent, it's going to be hard for somebody to come and try to fake their identity just to get some sort of pharmaceutical and maybe sell it. You know what I mean? I feel like there's got to be a certain percentage that people are losing just with identity fraud, because the pharmaceutical side of things, especially when you start talking like the low frequency like Vicodins and Percocets and all that stuff, like those are the
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean?
I mean, there's such a rabbit hole that we could go down on that, but it's just like, the more so, I guess, the thing that I'm trying to get people to see here is that this is a public announcement from a company with credentials that is now physically and openly stating how they're going to utilize their XRP in the DeFi ecosystem. Like, they literally say right here that they're going to be able to pull a line of credit out utilizing XRP. That is massive. Why if you know why if you know that exists, would you want to sell your XRP in the future when an organization is telling you right here for the first time in history that that's what they plan on doing? And you know if you've been in the XRP community for a while, like I have since 2000, end of 2016, you have these people on the internet that are like, oh, organizations are never going to use XRP. Well, that's a if anybody says that now, they're lying to you, because here's physical proof.
Yeah, facts.
So the times are changing. Like, all the researchers were right. It just took a lot more time than people are realizing, you know?
I didn't even account for pharmaceutical liquidity being on chain too, bro, until right now, to be honest with you. Like, I'm just, yeah, I don't partake in medicines, but now that you bring this up, this is like, dude, the liquidity.
All right, so we've covered, what have we covered? We covered Trident, Webis, Vivo Power, Logistics. All right, let's go to Hyperscale. So Hyperscale, check this out. And this is all fresh stuff. Hold on. Get you. Okay, so May 28th. And notice how all of this has kind of like been announced after the SEC chair said, oh, DeFi ain't a security, you know? Notice how it's been all within the last 2 weeks, all these announcements, right? I'm just saying, put 2 and 2 together, guys. Something's changing, you know? So May 28, 2025, Hyperscale Data Inc. announced that its subsidiary Alt Capital Group Inc. plans to purchase up to 10 million XRP, aiming to enhance its financial services division by incorporating cryptocurrency products as a part of its offerings. The company views XRP as a strategic asset due to its utility for secure, fast, and low-cost transactions, which align with the ACG's goal to support cross-border settlements and real-time payment systems in modern financial markets. And check this out. It says, ACG has been successful in lending and seeks to expand further into DeFi. Right? Lending and borrowing against your XRP, exactly what the heck we've been trying to tell people that's about to happen. And these institutions, these organizations are telling y'all right now, right? So imagine this organization wants to, I don't know, invest in another piece of real estate to expand their business, right? And they see a property for $1 million. Well, they can go and they can lend out their XRP, earning interest on it. Then they can borrow. I don't know, maybe we see a lending market on XRPL that allows you to borrow 80% of your, initial liquidity deposit, and boom, right? Then they have $800,000 to go put on a down payment on a new property to expand their business. And that's all through XRP. And then they pay that loan back. And while they're paying that loan back, the lending platform that they lent out to, maybe Strobe Finance, pays you 5% yield for lending and borrowing on their platform, right? So that way, then when they go and pay back their loan completely, their XRP position is higher, because the whole entire time they were paying back their loan and making that yield on the initial lent out and borrowed XRP, they were just compounding that yield. Right? This is game changing. If what I just said to you does not resonate, people, come on now. It's time to change that mindset. Go ahead, Aqua.
Just to give more people a mental visual of like how big lending and borrowing is. I mean, right now, if you go and look at DeFi Llama, the number one protocol is Aave, which is lending and borrowing. So lending and borrowing is what banks do. And once these institutions come in, as you can see, we're seeing a lot of lending and borrowing, right? So like, that's why I've continuously talked about lending and borrowing. This is why I talked about the loan protocol today, because that is lending and borrowing. Everything that Cypress is showing you guys right now is aligned with what Metallicus has done as well. And, you got people like Marshall Hayner, you got people, I even believe it's Brad Garlinghouse, saying that there's not going to just be one winner. You know what I mean? And looking at the projects that are aligned with this stuff, and XRP is clearly a winner right now. It's just like, it's hard to fade this right here. This is, if you're fading this, man, I don't know. Like, I don't even let's not even chat. Cause like, what's there to even talk about if you're fading this type of research? You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is the research that most people in this space that are giving you high price predictions should be doing, but aren't, which is exactly why CYPRX has never done any high prediction price videos, because we know that eventually the price will be higher. We just don't know when. All these people on the internet that are uneducated act like they know when it's going to happen. And it's like, nah, no, you don't know. But we do know that through proof and the documentation and ongoing developments that it's happening, right? It's happening. It's just a matter of time and patience. So far we've covered Hyperscale, Logistics, Vivo. So Trident, Vivo, and I believe it was Wellgistics, are going to be utilizing their XRP in the DeFi ecosystem for lending, for borrowing, for yield generation, for pulling out line of credits. What was it? The one Worksport we just went over. I want to show you guys two more on this list. So Worksport, and I believe it's BC Bud, and how they talk about that they're investing in XRP to combat against inflation, right? And the devaluation of currencies. So this is also crazy because yet again, it's just another, public announcement as to why they're investing in crypto, which you would not have otherwise seen 2-3 years ago. You would have never seen an organization saying, hey, we're investing in crypto because fiat's pretty much dead. So check this out. This is from Worksport. This is actually from last year, December 5th, 2024. So still within the 6 month to 7 month period. But they announced, by strategically allocating resources to Bitcoin and XRP and embracing crypto payments, Worksport positions itself at the forefront of financial innovation. Crypto transactions are anticipated to cost up to 37% less, enhancing operational efficiency and aligning with global trends towards digital asset adoption, delivering increased value to shareholders and customers alike. And then down here he says, or Rosie, sorry, I don't know if it's a woman or a man, but Rossi or Rosie, adds, as Bitcoin and XRP continues to gain investor attention and acceptance as a major asset class, we believe they may serve as a strong treasury reserve asset. Keep in mind, think about it. This is from December. Okay. This is from December 2024. So you can see that they're not making this up, because look at this. You got 3 companies now in 2025 announcing treasury reserves for XRP. And they literally predicted this 6 months ago. They said they think that it's going to be a strong treasury reserve asset. And now we see organizations like freaking Trident Digital announcing, that they're going to be allocating to XRP for a treasury reserve. This is crazy. This is just proof that it's going to take time, but that these organizations that are telling you in their documents what's happening is that it's not a game. They know what's going to happen. So here it says their goal, strong treasury reserve asset, their inflation resistant characteristics make them increasingly reliable for a store of value. By strategically allocating a portion of our treasury to these digital assets and accepting crypto payments, we are enhancing our financial strategy and aligning ourselves with the future of global finance. With our core business growing rapidly and new products launching soon, diversifying our treasury complements our strong projected growth. We believe this move will strengthen our balance sheet and provide long-term value to our shareholders. Right. So there's one organization. This one here, this is the last one I'll share. This is BC Bud. They made this announcement the same time, December 3rd. So 5 days prior to the previous announcement, 2024. And they said down here, with this $250,000 strategic allocation to XRP, it says this strategic initiative aligns with the company's commitment to exploring innovative ways to navigate inflationary pressures while delivering long-term value for its shareholders. So pretty much for the same reason, right? Crazy stuff here that we're seeing these type of announcements. And so for anybody, right, that was like, oh, they're not building out any institutional platforms on the XRPL that are going to facilitate lending and borrowing. Well, go check out what Strobe Finance is doing. They just had this panel discussion here the other day, and just recently at at Apex, you got David Schwartz on stage right here announcing and talking about Strobe Finance. So, you got the freaking OG of the XRPL on stage telling you guys that Strobe Finance is coming. And then Strobe Finance is talking about unlocking $100 billion of dormant liquidity on the XRPL onto active DeFi rails. This is crazy. Listen to what this guy says here, and then I'll end it here.
Welcome to the very first episode of the Strobe Ignite podcast series, where we'll be over the door for Strobe. And so part of that likely comes from the initial goal or the initial focus of XRPL being more towards institutional involvement as opposed to DeFi specifically, which is a shift and a trend that's sort of making an emergence on the XRPL currently. And that's kind of in some way opened the door for Strobe, would you say?
Yeah, that's right. So far, XRP Ledger has been focused more on, let's say, payment solutions for businesses or institutions. But right now, they're making a move. And what is very important right now is that there's a lot of dormant capital sitting at all those CXs. XRP's market cap is hitting above $100 billion, but only a few tens of million dollars are actually available on XRP Ledger right now. So the rest is actually outside of XRP Ledger. So all that money is actually available for us to do something about, right? Yeah.
And so following on from that, with that door now being opened, could you tell us a little bit about what Strobe is? What does it do? How does it work? And how people can sort of put their assets to work through it?
Right. So Strobe Finance is a decentralized liquidity and yield protocol. So it is designed to unlock both retail and institutional DeFi opportunities on the XRP ledger.
So I just wanted you guys to hear that. It's meant to unlock both retail and institutional DeFi opportunities on the XRP ledger. And I just showed you guys multiple physical examples of why these large organizations are investing in XRP. Some of them to defend against inflation. Some of them to generate yield and compound rewards with their XRP position. Some of them to take out line of credits on their XRP. This is nobody else on the internet is showing you guys information like this. I'm sorry, but that, I stand by that. Me and Aqua are out here dropping freaking gems. So I'll wrap it up here with my kind of presentation, where I highly suggest you guys go and you read this May 27th Medium report on Strobe Finance and how it's coming out of stealth mode. And if you come right down here, it says the opportunity for Strobe. Strobe Finance emerges from stealth mode with a simple premise: turn XRP's idle $1 billion into DeFi rocket fuel. Its products will do what XRPL never could: let users deposit XRP to earn yield or borrow against it. By using XLR Bridge, Strobe sidestepped XRPL's smart contract limitations while keeping assets natively composable. Right? This is, it's crazy what's taking place right now for the first time ever. And, just like, who was it? Not Marshall Hayner. Hugo Filion said in this post, I think many people massively underestimate the potential of XRP-Fi. I think their minds will do a total 180 when they see the reality. I could not align myself more with this post.
Yeah, facts. And it's just so amazing to go from, remember last year that podcast snippet that I had shared, and they asked Hugo, hey, what's your guys' main focus over at Flare Network? And he said verbatim, DeFi, DeFi, DeFi. And the fast forward where we're at now, milestones and what's coming. Oh my God, man. Like what most people say too, when they hold Flare, it's like they talk about Web3, and that's fine and everything, but like, you guys have to understand, Flare Network is going to give us the capability to earn yield with our XRP. So just go look up the F assets and how it gets locked in a vault and all that. We've shared it before in the past, but it's going to be massive. And Flare Network is, I'm glad I got in when I did.
I actually have some videos of Hugo Filion at the Ripple Apex here. I'll play them real fast, where he goes on to say, you can use our XRP pretty much without having to sell it, because I feel like that is not heard enough. We need to really, I'm on a mission to get people to see that there are other options out there outside of selling for fiat. That if you still have this mindset of selling for fiat, all your positions, you got to step up the game a little bit. I'm not an advocate for, just like not selling some. Like, I think that it's important to take profit, maybe take out your initial investment, right? Pay yourself, get yourself something nice with your little fiat bag, whatever. But just based off the research that I've done, you don't want to get trapped back into the traditional financial system and not be able to enter back in this new digitally native system where you had entered in now. Like, imagine the market in 2030 or 2035 selling for fiat, what fiat currency is going to look like then compared to now. Like, it's just not logical for anybody that really understands the system and the way that it's really going. I'm going to be completely honest. Like, anytime that I see somebody try to have a conversation with me about selling crypto for fiat in the future, I just see as like, I'm going to be honest, you just don't know as much information as you should. Yeah. That's just the truth.
And once that liquidity that's trapped behind that dam and regulations come in and that liquidity pours in, there's going to be a new foundational low. Like, these all-time lows and some of these prices that we see right now are never going to come back because of the amount of liquidity coming in most of that is probably never going to leave ever because regulations is keeping it here. You know what I mean? So just understand that. And that's that trap that you keep referring to of let me take for fiat and then try to catch this pullback when like maybe there's not going to be a pullback potentially. You know what I mean? So
and it would be different. Like my perspective would be different if we weren't about to have DeFi primitives available on the XRPL. Like if we were still living in 2021 and we couldn't use our XRP for yield generation in 5 years from now, then I'd be like, yeah, if XRP goes to $1,000, you know, I'd think about selling that shit and then maybe putting it into another digital asset where I can generate yield, or in the stable coins that are generating me yield or something, some type of yield, you know. But now that we can earn yield on our XRP, I mean, outside of a small portion of my bags to just pay myself and create a risk-free approach, like why? If I can lend, why? If I can yield, why? If I can be a liquidity provider, why? If I can stake to secure the network, why? Like there's no real valuable explanation, because year after year after year, they're devaluing our currencies. They're inflating, they're freaking inflating the balance sheet. They're printing money, and that's not going to change anytime soon. Because the only way to change that is to freaking crash the system, and that hasn't happened yet. So the cycle is going to continue, and it's probably going to continue for at least another decade, in my personal opinion, where they're going to just continue to inflate, and freaking print away, and this and that. And these assets that appreciate against that type of system are going to continue to grow, right? And it would be illogical to play the inverse and think that you're going to sell out of this new system to get back in at a discount when that's not guaranteed. It's like you said, Aqua. I mean, just think about it. Like, imagine if you got into Amazon stock back in 2005 or 9, you ain't never buying Amazon stock again at that price, no matter even if the market crashes 90%. You're just not. That's where we're at right now. That's where we're at right now. And you never know when that cycle is going to be or what year that's going to be that we see the floor price, you know. When we see that floor price, man, let me tell you what, a lot of people are going to be biting the bullet thinking that they're going to catch that price again, when in reality, you know, DeFi itself unlocks a certain level of mitigating sell pressure, because whales never have to sell. So many whales that hold XRP and many other digital assets, they don't participate in arbitrage. They don't participate in trading. They just hodl. And now they can hodl and generate yield. Oh man, it's game changing. Listen here to what Hugo says about pretty much not having to sell your XRP or not having to get out of your position.
Way more interesting financial primitives than currently exist. So that's sort of where we are. So I'm hoping that the audience here will understand how they're going to be able to use their XRP to get yield and then participate downstream in the DeFi ecosystem with a liquid stake token. This then allows them to effectively retain their position in XRP, but also get some financial performance out of it other than just the beta to the market.
You mentioned a little bit about,
you know, so he literally says, I'm hoping that the audience understands. I mean, we can tell them, but we can lead a horse to water. You know, we can't make them drink it. You're going to be able to liquid stake your XRP. And with that liquid stake token, you can go out, you can literally turn that into stable coins. You can buy yourself something nice if you want, a little bit higher risk if you ask me, but you can still keep your liquidity position. You can still maintain your exposure to XRP while still being, you know, available to move liquidly in the markets.
Yeah, facts. Yeah, I need that shirt too. He's rocking that Flare XRP Fi shirt. That shit's fire.
Yeah. It would be cool. I'd like it in like inverse black. I like black better than I like white.
Yeah.
Like a black with the little white pink logo. That'd be hot. Yeah, I like that. But yeah, anyways, man, that's pretty much all I had. I'm kind of exhausted in terms of my freaking throat chakra right now. I feel like I've been speaking a lot this past couple of weeks. You know, here at CYPRX, guys and gals, and the Well 28 Club, we're just here trying to wake people up, show you guys the real research that a lot of people are fading. So if you all enjoyed today's Friday call, do us a favor. If you're watching this as a recording, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. Make sure that you guys follow both myself and Aqua. I'll show you guys our social media platforms real fast, just so that way you guys have them. We got Mr. Aqua over here, right? Go give him a follow. Let me share a screen real quick. You know, if you guys aren't interested in tapping into our private community, we got a lot of free information. We're always posting good, valuable sources and info. You got Aqua here. Make sure you guys tap in with him. If you're one of my followers and you don't follow Mr. Aqua, go give him a follow on X. He's also got a YouTube with all his links there in his profile bio. And then if you guys are one of Aqua's followers, right? you guys can always head over to these two platforms here, my personal X profile, and you just go to my media section. Spend one day in my media section, right? Here at CYPRX, we post nothing but documents, research video breakdowns, panel discussions, all the info that, again, most people are fading, all distributed by the CYPRX research team. So that leads me over here. If you guys want some more free content, make sure that you guys type in CYPRX research. Check out their X profile. They're always posting documents, panel discussions. You got freaking bank grade officials and info provider data analytics here that the CYPRX research team taps into, all documented evidence that we are undergoing a massive transformation, right? And then obviously, of course, we got the YouTube. So make sure that you guys give us a follow. Anybody that's interested in taking it a step further, they really want to dive into our weekly private discussions. They want to read our fundamental reports. They want to see how we gain insights into, economic events like this. For example, us calling out weeks in advance that Israel was going to attack Iran, right? Here you can see, always love timestamps. We were talking about this, almost a month in advance, saying that we were tapping into data analytics indicating that Israel was going to quietly position itself for a strike on Iranian nuclear facilities. This is back from a screenshot May 21st. And then fast forward to today, the market tanked recently because this Israel strike on Iran eroded out risk appetite, right? This is from today, June 13th. So if you guys want resources and insights into stuff like this, and you want to actually understand these markets, tap in with us in our private CYPRX community. Head over to CYPRXtrading.com. You guys can see it at the banner right up there. We'd love to have you on the team. Outside of that, Aqua, that's all I got, man. This was a freaking bomb call, man. Hopefully people tap in. I'm definitely going to pay more attention to Lone and Metallicus and Marshall Hayner for sure.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Well, shout out to everybody who tapped in. Much love to everybody. Appreciate you all.